going on, guys? Today we're going to be mounting this custom design splitter on the Mustang. Alright guys, so the time has come to mount the splitter on the Mustang. I just got it in, so here it is. Again, this is 6061 T6 aluminum, and I got this machined. Basically, it was probably laser cut or water jet cut. And now you can see the main difference between this and my prototype. I've got these rounds on the corners. I think that looks really good. And they also did a great job just deburring it, so this should be pretty much ready for paint. I'll probably just clean it off before I do paint it, but it is looking pretty good. Really basic. Like I said, I didn't add any holes because I wasn't sure exactly what I was gonna do for mounting yet. I'll be adding those holes today once I have the mounts built. And I did go through a few different versions of the model. First I did some straight mounts. That didn't quite look right. I did some angled mounts with tubing. That looked okay, but it still wasn't quite right. So then I kind of combined a couple of the versions to get to my final model. So this is what I came up with, and I like this way better than any of the others. None of the others looked quite right, and this finally does look like it matches the bumper, and it flows nice, and it doesn't look like an afterthought. So I'm basically using tubing in the center two supports, and then I'm extending the square tubing down on the main portion of the bumper. And then on the sides, I'm lining up some more tubing with the existing structure so it looks like it flows nice. And so here are the materials I'm gonna be using. So again, I've got some of this scrap tubing, same exact tubing I used for my bumper. And then this is the square tube that I can use to extend that main portion. Like I said, I'll have two of the circular tubing about here and here. I'll be extending the square tubing there and there, and then on the side it's gonna look like this piece is kind of extending down at an angle right there. Now one of the hardest parts here is gonna be coping the tubes. It's really not that bad. Since I have this little fixture here, I can insert the tubing, and then this is basically a guide, and you attach your drill onto this and it will cope the tube. Here's a tube that was already coped from before. I basically can just set the angle here on this notcher, and then I do double check it with a protractor. And you just clamp the tube in there, and I drill pretty slow because it is steel. And then for the square tubing, I'll just have to cut the angle on the top to match the existing bumper. So my basic process is gonna be getting all of these mounts made and then mocked up kind of where they're supposed to go on the bumper. And then I'm gonna have to grind the paint off of the bumper in those areas so that I can weld the new tubing on. Now as far as attaching the actual splitter, I thought I was maybe going to weld a plate on the bottom of these posts, and then I would have the hardware off to the side here. The problem with that is then you would see the hardware, you'd be able to look in and see it. So now I think I'm going to weld a nut on the back of this washer, and then I can weld the whole assembly inside the tube like this. And that way I can have my screw come up through the splitter into that threaded hole, and all of the hardware will be hidden. And I did decide to go with flathead screws on this so that the bottom of the splitter stays completely flat so it can't catch on anything. Now the only difference for the square tube is the washer's too small, so I have this plate I can basically do the same thing with. I'll drill a hole in there, weld the nut on top, and then weld the whole assembly in the bottom. Alright guys, so now I have all of the mounts fabricated. That actually was a lot of work. I did have to remake 2 of these front ones just because they weren't exactly the right size. As you can imagine, once you cope this, you've got to get the length perfect so they all sit at the same height. So now that these are ready to go, I'm going to drill holes in the splitter for all of the tube ones, which are 4, and get those actually mounted to the splitter first, and then bring it up to the bumper to tack it onto the bumper. I'm gonna wait and actually tack these to the bumper first before I drill the holes, because those are crucial that they line up perfectly with the existing square tubing. After they are tacked on the bumper, I'll probably put like a little stud, maybe cut one of these screws so that I can locate the perfect spot to put the hole for those. Alright guys, so I did just get the splitter mounted up. It's looking pretty sweet, but before I show you that, just wanted to mention, if you enjoyed this video, please drop a like below, and if you haven't already, please subscribe if I've ever brought you any value. This is the first time in 4 years that I've ever asked anyone to subscribe or like a video, but you know, YouTube hasn't recommended my videos in a while, so I figured might as well try it out. And I'm 4 years into making videos, so I think I've earned the right to finally ask someone to subscribe. So now enough of that, I can show you guys the finished product on the Mustang splitter install. and definitely drop a comment below. Let me know what you guys think, and also let me know if you think I should make any more changes to the front end or the Mustang in general. I did get the grille put back in with the correct Mustang logo, so I bought the stock logo, which was chrome, and I painted it black and installed it. And now that's looking the way it should, so let's check it out.